Hey, everybody. My name is Sean Galanos. I'm a love coach, and welcome to Do Men Like Period Sex? I will admit the title is a bit clickbaity. This isn't really about whether men like period sex. I mean, some men do, some men don't. I will share with you my experience with period sex and why I love it, but also some tips on how to make it more pleasurable, on what conversations to have with your partner to make it a more pleasurable, comfortable experience. Yesterday, I posted a story and a post and a reel and basically a video saying saying that I do like period sex and that basically the bloodier the better. And then I made a joke about wanting it to look like a crime scene. Just to be clear, I'm not advocating for any sort of violence here. This was sort of a satire post, but the response has been overwhelming. First of all, I received like over 50 or 60 marriage proposals from women saying, "Thank you. Finally, someone has like said the thing that people aren't saying." Which is that period sex can be awesome, right? And I was kind of blown away by the responses and the comments. I posted one post and one reel, and both of them got over 700 or 800 comments. 99% of them positive, resoundingly that a lot of women like it, and that a lot of women wish that they could have more period sex with their partners. Okay. Sorry, this is a hard one to talk about, especially unscripted for any length of time. So, do men like having sex during their partner's period? That's what we're going to talk about. A little note on gender terms. I am a straight man, heterosexual, who has sex with women. My experience comes with this lens and this perspective. I do realize that not only women have periods, right? There's trans folks, there's queer people who don't identify with the gender label woman. That's totally fine. I'm going to try to make this as gender neutral as possible. I'm not going to succeed completely. So if what I'm saying doesn't land exactly true for you, feel free to switch out the gender pronoun of your choice so that this makes more sense for you. But I am aware that there are people that don't identify as women that also have periods. Okay. So do people like having sex on their periods? I hate any sort of blanket statement where yes, they do, no, they don't, right? Some people do, some people don't, and some people go gaga for it, right? The person who has the period might love it, might not, might love it sometimes. It depends. Everything is contextual. You can't assume anything about anybody, right? Don't assume anything. Don't assume that your partner likes it or doesn't like it, right? If you want to know the best ways to have a conversation about it. And really, if you're having sex, having a conversation about menstrual blood or having sex during your partner's menstruation or your own shouldn't really be that taboo, right? And it is for a whole bunch of societal and cultural reasons that I'm not going to go into, that I don't have the experience to talk about. But what I can talk about is that it's okay to have these conversations, right? It's okay to talk about sex and to talk about your sexual health and your history and your practices and what you want and what you like and what you don't like and how things make you feel and how you're squeamish around blood and how you're worried that it's going to stain the sheets and how you think that they might not like it, but you really wish they did because it would feel good for you. All of these things are things you can talk about. You're totally valid to talk about. Okay, really quickly, I'm just going to get this off the table, right? Here's why I love having sex on my partner's period. It's intimate. There's something incredibly intimate about the experience. It's vulnerable for her and for me, right? To be able to witness and honor my partner's menstrual cycle and to engage in sexual activity at the same time is vulnerable, right? And usually periods come with a heightened sense of emotions, right? And sensitivity due to hormones, right? So the whole experience is more sensitive. And I like that. I like intimacy and I like vulnerability. I like playing with an emotional connection. And it's also pretty primal. Like it's a pretty primal situation. So that's why I like it. And honestly, I like it so much that I will like sometimes beg for it, and not everybody's into it, right? I've had tons of female partners that, not tons. I've had a few female partners that weren't comfortable with it, and that's totally fine, right? I mean, you have to accept where your partner's at. So talk to your partner about your thoughts around this, around whether this is something that you want, around some of your fears and your concerns. And I'll talk a little bit later about like how to make it more enjoyable. But one of the things that really stood out was the amount of women that said, holy shit, I had no idea that this is something that guys would even want to do, or that my partner would even want to do. I just kind of assume that like while I'm on my period, we're just not going to have sex. I remember working at this restaurant, and one of the servers, my friend Claudia, she was saying that like when she was on her period, her husband would say, "Oh yay, it's blowjob week," as if like during that week, pleasure could only happen to the other partner because like it wasn't available, right? The person menstruating like was just like, nope, it's just not happening. And that's fine if you're on your period and you don't want to have sex and you feel bloated and gross and sad and it's the last thing on your mind, fine. That's totally legit. I respect that 100%. And some people feel that way. And some people feel that way during a portion of their period. And in other times will be like insanely turned on and will be extra sensitive. And it can be really, really, really exciting to have sex on your period. So don't assume anything and have these conversations with people, right? One of my friends who's a marketing genius likes to say, experts don't guess, right? And so if you want to be a sexual expert, and I don't mean that in like a super like arrogant way, like I'm a sexual expert, but if you want to have expertise at bringing and connecting in a pleasurable way with your partner, which I think is a nice goal. It's nice to be a sexual expert with your partner, right? Or partners. Don't guess about any of this stuff, right? Talk about how it makes you feel, if it's something that you want, how you feel different in different parts of your period. So one of the things that just like blew my mind was that there was like a lot of people that couldn't even believe on both sides, the period having person and the partner of the period having person, that sex was even possible during the period. And I'm really glad that I posted that stuff because the comments were very enlightening and very educational for a lot of people, right? Some people get crazy turned on during their period, like insanely turned on, right? So don't you want to have sex with your partner when they are insanely turned on? Like I'm always available for like ratcheting up the action and like creating an environment that is even more conducive to pleasure. I'm all about that. I mean, I just can't highlight the fact. I can't highlight it more that like I think it's a really beautiful experience. Also, it's beautiful to be able to honor your partner during their cycle, right? If you think about it, people that have periods, mainly women, are going to spend like a week of every month in some way, shape, or form on their period, right? That's a quarter of their life. So it's really beautiful to be able to honor and witness and support your partner throughout their life and their menstrual cycle and their whole month, right? And sometimes there are things that you can do to like be more attentive or nurturing in that time. And that's why we talk about that. That's one of the benefits of talking about this stuff, right? Is that you get to understand how to better care for your partner. So some people get crazy turned on during their period, and it also really depends on the day, the flow, the timing. Like some people on the first couple of days forget it, but then on the next couple of days, it's on, right? And you're not going to know any of this unless you talk to them. Sex on your period can also relieve discomfort associated with the periods, or shorten it, or make it come faster. I mean, that's just been my experience with my partners. Okay, really quickly, side note, there are some risks. They're pretty negligible, but there are some risks associated with this. Hep C is a blood-borne illness, and there's blood during period sex. Though Hep C is only, don't quote me on this, I'm not a sex educator, but only 2% of Hep C transmissions are sexually transmitted. So the risk is really low. Hep C, I think, is mostly transmitted via blood through intravenous drug users, dirty needles, basically. So if your partner is an IV drug user, maybe don't have sex during their period. That's my only recommendation. There's a slight increase in the risk of STI transmissions. So again, sexual health, get tested often, use barriers. You can still get pregnant while having sex on your period. I'm not a sex educator. Definitely do your research on this stuff. And there's a risk if you have endometriosis. There's some link. I don't know what it is. That's not what this video is about. Please do your research. These are just some of the risks. Okay, what can you do to make it what can you do to make it more pleasurable? A lot of the fear is around like it's messy, right? So just straight up throw some towels down. Or they sell these sex sheets. I've never used one, but they're like waterproof blankets, basically. Sort of like a mattress protector, but it's a blanket. And people kind of swear by these. I've never used them before. So you can get a sex sheet, probably on Amazon, or a dark blanket that is like, easy to wash. So yeah, you don't want to have to like go through a ton of extra laundry, and you certainly don't want to ruin your white sheets, your sateen, or your whatever, high thread count Egyptian sheets. Got it. Don't do that. But throw a couple towels down. I know some people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's so unromantic. And it's like, really, it's pragmatic is what it really is. It's pragmatic. There's going to be blood. Blood's going to stain. Throw some towels down. You know what's less romantic is like not having sex. If both people are into having sex, like I'd much rather have sex with some towels down than not at all. That feels less romantic to me. And if you want to be more romantic, then get some sex sheets or a dark blanket that you use just for this purpose. It's just a little bit of blood, or sometimes a lot of blood, right? And it's most of it, if it's even really bloody, is going to be like, it's going to be located around your genitals and your like pubic area. It's not going to like squirt on the walls. Okay. It's not as messy as you think it's going to be. And in my experience, even with women with like heavy flow, it like is fairly contained, which means that after you can take a shower and literally wash all of it away in the drain. It's gone. All of it is gone. Right. Some people say that the blood can be smelly. Sure. Sex is sometimes smelly. That's just kind of, again, very pragmatic of me. It can be smelly, but that can also be kind of a turn on. It really depends on like what your threshold is for smells. My dad's calling. Can decline pops for now. Yeah, so some of the fears are like that it's smelly, it's messy, or that they won't like it. My partner won't like it. So those are my suggestions. These are my thoughts on period sex. Leave a comment below. Share with me your experience with this, whether it's been pleasurable for you or not, or whether you have some fears or not, or anything. And thank you for being here. And lastly, after you have successful, exciting, fulfilling period sex, you can high five each other and have some ice cream and take very, very good care of each other. If you like these talks, hit the subscribe button. I guess that's the thing that people say. Smash that bell. And thank you for being here. Ciao.